Here's some easy Christmas scrap cards. Come on in. Hello everybody, it's Julia Laird with Senior Susie Stamps, and I'm glad you came to join me today. We're going to be making some Christmas cards. Let me show you. Look, these are simple. You can use scraps to make them, and I think you'll have fun making them. And you get 2 cards, this one and this one, from 3 little scraps of paper. So let's get started. I'm going to tell you what you need. I have 2 portrait style A2 size card bases, 2 pieces of white first layer, which is 4 by 5 1/4. I have 3 pieces of coordinating scrap that is 2 by 4, a pencil and eraser, a piece of torn paper to make some snow out of, a couple of sentiments, 3 stars each out of gold paper, some little tiny snowflakes that I used my little handheld punch to make. I cut the stars out of this old Stampin' Up! Star punch, and I cut the labels out of this EK punch. I used this one. It's a ticket style punch. I used some VersaFine ink on my sentiment to make it nice and crisp. You're also going to need a little piece of scratch paper, and this mounts the sentiment up on one of the pages. And I've got 4 little pieces of paper here for tree trunks. So come on, let's get started, and I'll show you what I want to do. First of all, on these little pieces here, I'm going to get my scoreboard out, because this is just the easiest way to do these. Let me scoochy some of this stuff over. Scoochy, scoochy. So, on the 2-inch side, I'm going to just draw a line, and be careful because this DSP paper is usually a little thinner than your cardstock, so don't press too awful hard. And I'm just going to put a score line down the 1 inch, and then I'm going to fold it. And you'll notice on this scrap here that there's a little difference there and here. Don't worry about that. It doesn't make a bit of difference on these cards. I'm going to do the same with this one. And we're just going to fold it in half. Oh, now this one's got some black paper and butterflies on the back, so I'm going to want to use this side on both of these when I cut, because I don't like that black paper for Christmas cards. That's all I need the scoreboard for. So let's get it put away. And then I'm going to get my paper cutter out, and I'm just going to use my Tim Holtz guillotine cutter. I'm going to do 1 cut with these. And what we're going to do is going to cut from the fold line to the corner down here. And because these corners are more likely to match up than these down here, see there's a difference, I'm going to use this as the wide end. And I'm just going to lay this on my guillotine cutter so that it can cut right off. And then we're going to save these 2 little pieces. So this is going to go for 1 card, and those are going to go for the other card. And this just takes a minute to do, and just take your time so that you get your cut right. These are very forgiving cards. They don't have to be redone. If you make a little cutting mistake, you just don't worry about it, because they don't care. These cards just don't care. Okay, this is the 3rd one. There we go. Okay, that's all I'm going to need my cutter for. I get it out of the way. Now, on the first card, I drew 3 little lines with my pencil and my ruler, and the first line is at 1 inch, 2 inches and 3 inches, and you'll see why in just a minute here, because we're going to glue right down the fold line, and you'll have to be a little careful with your glue. This is probably the most tedious part of this, is just be kind of careful and just put it right down your fold line, and try not to get too much, but get enough. There we go, right like that. And then I'm going to put it over here, right up towards the top on that line, and glue it down. There we go. And then these will fold back once your glue dries. And I'm going to do the middle one same way. Okay, now you can see where I got a little glue off to the side here, and I don't want that because I want my tree to fold back, so I'm going to scrape that off with my fingernail. There we go. Then I'll fold this back and set my second tree right on that line there. And the third one is the same way. This card will be done in no time, and it uses some scraps, and it's kind of a twofer card. Buy one, get one free. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're going to set that right on that line. There we go. If you want to, you can take your tweezers or some kind of a little edge and just press lightly to activate that glue paper to paper. There we go. Now, we're going to do some tree trunks. And this is 1/2 inch by about 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to pick my sides up here. There we go. We'll work one at a time. Just put your little glue on and glue it down right on that fold line. I don't know if you can hear her or not, but Cordelia's over there playing with something that's on the floor. I'm curious as to know what that is that's on the floor, because who knows what she's got. This one hangs down a little bit low, but that's fine. These are fun little cards to make. If you've got some kids, you can use decorative scissors on the edge, or if you've got a decal trimmer, you can do that as well. Now, while this is fairly flat, I'm going to go ahead and put this up on my card base, and I'm just going to glue this one straight down to the card front. Now, you can emboss the background on this if you want to. You could stencil some clouds. You could do some snowflake stencils. You can do whatever you want to with these cards. They're just really easy to make. I'm going to put a little drop of glue up here on the top of these trees and set my stars right down on there. Hold them for just a second. On this one, the sentiment, because I want this tree to be able to be picked up just a little bit, I made a little, kind of a little gusset, if you will. And so now it's going to glue down to the tree And then these two little dog ears here are what's going to glue to this. So let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to just glue on the mountain sides of these. See? And I don't have any glue on these little tabs here. And I'm going to set my little sentiment gusset holder thing there and let it dry. And then I'm just going to put some glue right on here and here on these little dog ear tabs here, and I'm going to set my sentiment right up on top of that, and that gives your sentiment the ability to come up with that tree when it raises up a little bit. There. Now I have some little snowflakes, and those are just punched with my little tiny punch. I'm going to add some in here. And you can do this or not. If you choose, you could use gems. You can do whatever you want to with these cards, and they're cute. I'll put a few more on here. You can put little punches on the background for snowflakes if you want to. I did that on one of the other cards. I don't know if you noticed it or not. Let's see if I can show you right quick. See here? I don't know if you noticed these snowflakes on the outside out here. We'll do one with and one without. So there we are. One with, one without. I haven't finished the insides because I haven't figured out what I'm going to put in there yet. But I'll stamp those when I get a little closer to sending them out. Let's do the second card. And now this is the second card. I didn't feel like this embossing folder did very well on this paper. I think it maybe needed a heavier weight paper because it really broke the fibers in the paper. So we're not going to do that. We'll add some of these other little snowflakes into the background on this card. Now, on these pieces that are left, because of the way they were cut, one side is at a right angle. Right here's the right angle, and then there's a longer side. So if you put them on top of each other, you'll notice that they don't set quite right. See? So we want to make sure where that right angle corner is, because that's the side that we want to have our glue go down. So I'm going to do one this way and one that way and this way and this way. Okay, does that make sense? So I think we'll swap this one and that one, and that one and this one, and those will be our trees. Now I'm going to take some glue and I'm going to do my gluing down the short side. And make my tree that way. And what I want to do is just pull my points together. And this has got a bigger overlap at the bottom, of course, than it does at the top. That's fine. So I'm going to bring my glue up the short side and then glue to the short side. Make sense? And we'll get 3 nice little trees this way and finish up our second little card. So you get 2 cards out of 3 pieces of 2x4 scrap paper. I love that. Yay! Okay, now on the front of this card, I'm going to put a little snowbank across here, and then I'm going to trim it. And all I'm going to do is put enough ATG down to glue it down on the bottom. You see how much of this I've left open without any glue? That's because I want to slip those 2 outer trees in underneath here. So I'm going to trim this off right next to the edge. There we go. And I think we'll do this one up here. Now I'm not going to mark the lines on this one. I'm just going to kind of freehand those a little bit. There. I like the back ones to be just a little bit taller. And then the stars will go ahead and lay over the edge of this first layer onto the card base itself. So these are good right in there. And I'm just going to glue down. And you'll notice there's only one trunk on this card because it's only the center one that needs a trunk. So we'll slip this one right up underneath. Kind of pull it up. And we'll do this one the same way. And you can use just about any kind of designer paper for these, I think. The only thing I kind of like to do is make sure that my glue line is kind of parallel, because if it isn't, it sort of kind of looks a little wonky, if you will. Now I'm going to put some foam tape on the back of this one. And the little piece that goes up in the tip has to be pretty thin. And y'all know I custom cut my tape, so it's easy to cut a little thin strip like that. There. And give yourself enough foam tape that you can get some good coverage so that your tree will stand up to mailing. Looks like I need to trim just a tiny bit off of this foam here. There. Okay. And again, this line here is the center line that I'm trying to get kind of in line. And then my little tree trunk. Let's see, I think I want to use the dark one on this one because this color is kind of a little pinkish reddish and I don't care too much for it in this application. Just slide that little guy right up in there. I'm going to go ahead and glue this onto the card base. Oh, I think I'll elevate this one. I used a piece of fun foam on the embossed one and it worked very well. You don't have to use self-adhesive foam. You can use fun foam and glue it on. And it gives you a solid coverage that way. But this works just as well. Now, get this mounted up. And on the sentiment on this one, because that center tree was elevated, I've gone ahead and put just a little bit of foam backing on the outside edges of this one Let's get this put down and get our stars down. And we'll do them the same way. We'll just put a little bit of glue right up here. And put our stars on. Now, this is what I was talking about on the foam here, because this is elevated up. So I'm going to go ahead and just put glue in the middle here to glue it to the tree. And then these just hold the ends of the tickets sentiment up off the card where it doesn't get warped for you. There we go. I'm going to add a few snowflakes to the background on this one. I don't think I'm going to put any on the tree. I don't know what size this little circle punch is, but I believe it's about 1/8 of an inch. It's a tiny one. I got it from Amazon a long time ago, and if I'm not mistaken, it came in with a little tiny star punch, which I have not seen for a long time, and I miss it because I think in Christmas cards you need that little tiny star punch, so I'll be on the lookout for it this year. So this is the first bunch of Christmas cards for the year. And we've got 5 of them finished. Most of these will be going to the nursing home. I have to make a delivery next week of some thinking of you and birthday cards for them to send. They use the cards for a little writing exercise. That's why a lot of mine I kind of leave blank for them to finish out. And you can do this card with white scraps. This is just a 2x4 strip of white paper. It's a nice way to use up some white scraps, and you know, white trees at Christmas time, of course, are classic. And here's number 4, and here's number 5. So I hope you all have enjoyed today's quick tutorial, and if you have, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great week. Bye bye.